everybody, welcome back. It's Tosh here. I am here today with my Boxycharm November Tryon. So we're going to put everything on my face and see what we think about it. For those of you that are returning, welcome back. I am so thankful to have all of you. Thank you so much for joining me. For those of you that are new here, thank you for joining me as well. My name is Tasha, and on my channel I do all things makeup. I typically do a What's New Wednesday, I do makeup unboxings and then try-ons like these and kind of give my overall perspective on the products. I would love for you to join my channel. Please click the subscribe button. My goal is to get to 50, and then I do have a big giveaway that I'd like to do for y'all as kind of a thank you and sharing with you guys. So please click the subscribe button. I think I'm at 49, so working that way. Without any more talk, let's go ahead and jump into the box. There are a couple of products that I am not going to be using this morning. So the hair serum I have not tried. I still need some time to try this to give kind of an overall perspective. I will update the description box in a couple of weeks after I've had some time to use this. The next product that I will not be trying on is the Riddle. This is the all natural perfume. I do love the smell. I do like that it's all natural. I will wear it, but unfortunately for me with migraines and having them worse and sometimes more frequently lately, any kind of smells will definitely trigger. So we're not going to use this morning, but I do think it's a good product. I'm not against it at all. The next product that I will probably not be trying is the Makeup Brush Cleaner. Although we may try in between, but we'll have to see about this. This is kind of one of those cleaners that you spray on, you clean the brush off, and it's supposed to be kind of that in-between clean before you do the deep clean kind of thing. I do like the idea of this. It is supposed to be all natural. It does have the orange peel scent and oil, so certainly something that we may try during the video, but I'll need more time with this as well. I'm going to go ahead and put this on. So this is the Better Skin Company Eye Bright Now. It is an anti-puff dark circle reducer kind of serum. I am going to put a little bit on. I know that's kind of risky because it is an oil type product, so we'll have to see how it works under makeup. I'm not sure what I think about it, but we're going to try it anyways because who doesn't like in the morning a depuff and a dark circle reducer? So I'm going to take just a little bit out here and I'm going to put it, I usually put it on my hand to kind of warm it up some, just to make it a little easier. We won't do a ton. It doesn't smell like much of anything, and it is kind of a serum-y texture. It is pretty runny and thin. Kind of feels like aloe vera. And so I am doing this in the viewfinder. We're just putting a little on underneath. I try not to get too close to the eyes because products do migrate and you will end up with some of the product in your eyes if you're not careful. So be careful. I will put just a smidge up here and same thing on this side. So we're going to kind of let that sit in. And then the next product that I'm going to do is the By Terry Hyaluronic Hydra Primer. So this is supposed to be a hydrating, a smoothing primer that blurs, takes care of lines, all of those things. It's supposed to be the do-all product. By Terry is fairly expensive for a product line, so I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit out. Again, I'm a big fan of using my hand, either the back or the front of it. I probably need more primer than that, but that's about how much I put out. And let's go ahead and put this on. Yep, definitely need more product than that. It does soak in. It is more like a lotion than it is like a silicone-y primer, which I would think for a line filler pore reducer you would need a little bit more of a silicone-y base. I just a little bit more put out there so you guys can see how much I'm using. And my face always gets red after I fooled around with it. It'll calm down in just a minute. Okay, so eyes done, primer done. It is a little bit tacky, amazingly. Well, I didn't think that. I am going to go ahead and go off camera to put on my foundation. Okay, I changed my mind a little bit. Because I do have the primer on, I am going to go ahead and film with the foundation, putting it on, just so you guys can see how it applies. I'm using my Bounce foundation because I know how it performs. I really like how it performs, so this won't be the variable, the primer will be. So I'm going to put just a little bit out. I am using my Beauty Blender sponge because that's what I really enjoy using, and I am going to find a mirror real quick, otherwise I won't be able to see anything. Okay, so let's go ahead and apply this foundation really quickly. I'm just going to kind of bounce it on. I don't have the best mirror, so bear with me. I usually only put a very little amount on my forehead because usually it doesn't need a lot. And if I put too much up there, it'll look cakey and bad. Okay, I had to switch mirrors because that mirror was the pits. And now I'll show you guys that mirror in just a second because it will be a product that we're using today. Okay, so that's the final kind of everything. I do like the way that it applied with that primer. It'll take a little bit for me to see whether it sinks in really badly or if it dries me out or those kind of things. But the foundation applied really nice. I don't think that there were any problems with it applying on top of that primer. I am going to do my eyes off camera. I do have to say, that serum has sank completely in. I thought it was more of an oily base, but it is not, so we'll see how that performs on makeup, with makeup on top of it. I'm just kind of looking. Overall, it's good. Okay, be back in a second. I'm going to do my eyebrows off camera because I don't have a product for that, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I went ahead and did my brows off camera. I've been super lazy with my brows, so I just brushed through some Benefit brow gel. I did apply my concealer underneath here. I used a mix of the Lancome and the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. And I do think it looks really nice. I do need to set it still, and I'm going to use my Laura Mercier Under Eye Setting Powder, which I always use, set it the same way. I do have to say that serum doesn't seem like it has affected the application of the under eye concealer or anything like that. I'm grabbing a brush real quick, and I usually just take a small brush. This is a Real Techniques brush that's from an old set, and I do just a little tap in there and then tap it off so there's not too much. Make sure that I use my finger so that there's no so that there's no lines that I'm setting. And I'll just go in and just gently set that real quick. I do the top of my eye too. It's just a habit. I don't know why, because we're going to apply some primer for my eye in just a second. So I won't do that on the other side. So again, just tap it out. Make sure that there's no lines that you're setting there. And I typically try and look up a little bit so that you're getting in there and it looks really nice. Okay, before I set my complete face, because I don't want to do that, I do have the cream blushes, the Rhubarb and Rose Creamy Lip and Cheek Palette. And so this is the mirror that I was trying to use initially. First, it is so tremendously hard to get this stupid thing open that I usually have to use tweezers or scissors or something that'll fit in there to open it up. And hang on. Dangerous. Because if I don't get something in there, it's clasped so tight I can't get it with my fingernails. And then while I do like the mirror, they have that plastic covering and they don't have a place to peel it, and I can't get this plastic covering off for the life of me. So we'll have to work on that at another time. At any rate, these are the blushes that are in there, and I am actually going to use this one because it looks just stunning. And I am going to use my angled brush probably. So this is just an angled brush from Firma. It's the 103. And I really am just going to go ahead and dip into the blush a little bit. It is very, very pigmented. And I'm just, wow, that's too much already. I can tell you that. Hang on a minute. So there you go. I only tapped it in a little bit in my palette here for the blush, and I can tell you right now that is pretty pigmented and a beautiful color, but very pigmented. So when you're doing this, please be careful. Look at how much is still on my brush, and I have already applied it to that cheek. So let's apply it to this cheek here, and we're gonna have to blend it out with the Beauty Blender because I think that seems to be working the best. I need a different mirror because that mirror is just not working, which I already decided. Look at, I just think that's beautiful. Okay, I love that. It is quite pigmented in color. It did blend out nice and easy. There's no seams. It gives a little bit of a glow to the face. I really like that. We'll see how long it lasts. And we're actually going to use the brush cleaner on this, but I won't do it quite yet. We'll do it towards the end. Okay, this is the way I always do my makeup. I do my eyes last, so I'm doing what I normally do because that is what I would do on a traditional day. So I'm going to go ahead and set my face. I do really like the It Bye Bye Pores Pressed Powder, so that's what we're going to use to kind of set everything. I'm not going to use a different blush to set my cream blush because I want to see how it performs on its own. So we're just going to gently set everything. I'm not using a ton of powder, just a teeny little bit on a big fluffy brush, and I'm just kind of gently setting the face all over. Okay, we're set. There you go. Next, here is my Ace Beauty Eyeshadow Amplifying Base. We are going to apply a little bit of that to my eyes. I do remember when I looked at this product, it was very, very pigmented, so I am only going to use a very little bit for both eyes. That's probably too much for both eyes. I am going to use my finger to apply it because that's what works best for me. So we're just going to put this right on. And you can see it blends out quite easily. It does make a nice base. It does kind of cancel and cover any dark areas that you have. I got it a little too far under my eye, so just be careful when you're applying it, but otherwise it's beautiful, and I didn't even use the full amount that I had on my finger. So let's just get a tiny little bit more for this side. I always have one eye that I can get better than the other, I don't know why. So you can see I didn't even use all of that little bit. There's still quite a bit left on my finger and this finger too, and both eyes are covered really, really well. All of the dark areas are kind of canceled out. Okay, so now we need to decide what, we may use a mix of both. So I have the Persona Identity 2 palette that I'm going to show you guys right here. I was excited to try that, and then I also have the Violet Voss, which I was super excited to try because I love the color story in the Violet Voss. Love the palette and the packaging of the Persona 2. Do not like how it doesn't open up all the way, but there are the colors in that one. I'm loving that color because that was like a duochrome color. And then here are the colors in the Violet Voss. So we're just going to kind of jump in and do a couple of both sides and see what happens. I am going to set my eye all over with this very light shadow that's in the Identity 2. It's called Kind, and it's just kind of a very light cream color to kind of set everything. I know people have different perspectives on this when they put the primer down. Some people think that you shouldn't set it because then that affects the gripping power of the primer, and some people do set it. I typically do just a little bit because I find if I don't, then the other colors, especially when I add darker ones, don't blend out very well, and then that makes me kind of not happy. I'm going to go ahead and jump into the Loyal shade right here and put that kind of in the crease of my eye. I'm just using the same brush, and you can see it's pretty pigmented here, so we're going to go ahead and put that in and just kind of blend it out. It does not look like there's a whole lot of fallout, which I do appreciate, and it is pretty pigmented, so I'm just dipping my brush in once, and then that's the pigment that you're getting from that, which is really nice. They're blending out really well. They don't seem patchy at all, which I appreciate. We're going to add a little more into both sides just to kind of build that up a little bit. I always keep my mouth open when I'm trying to do makeup and I'm thinking. I don't know why. I think that's hilarious. Okay, so just a general base. We have that little kind of brown in the crease. I'm going to go ahead and jump over to this palette, the Violet Voss one, and I'm actually going to add just a little bit of this sunset kind of in this corner area, because then I'm thinking I really want to use that gold, but I really want to try the purples as well. I think the gold is where we're going to go with it though. So let's add a little bit of a sunset so we get some of this palette in. I, again, just touched a little bit because that I know of, Violet Voss is pretty pigmented, and then I'm just going to add, look at how pretty that color is. Goodness gracious. That's stunning. Very pigmented, very easily blended. I like these so much. And that color is just such a pretty color. Just kind of keep building it up in that outer V corner area on both sides and blending it out. I'm blending it towards the center, trying to pull some of that color over. I think that's stunning, 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 stunning. Okay, I am going to go ahead and I really want to do that gold color. So let's put the gold kind of on the eyes. I am going to go ahead and use my fingers. And then I remember it seemed like it was just a smidge of a duochrome. Oh, look at how foiled and beautiful that is, even just with my finger. Holy camole. I'm only going to do kind of the center there. And then I'm going to dip this back into the sunset color that we used and kind of blend that out on the edges just to make it a little more seamless. That is such a foiled color. That is just stunning. I love that. I never get both eyes to look the same. I don't understand what I do or why, but I always say my eyes are different shape, but I know they're not that different. It's just my... I'm going to use a different finger, and I'm going to go into this purple shade. And I'm thinking about putting this in the corner here. Corner and outside just a little bit. That's what we're doing, corner and outside, because I want to use this color, but it's a little bit too much just on the inner corner. I gotta use my other finger. Sorry, hang on. Oh, too far. I'm gonna use sunset again, just on the outer edge of that and the inner, just to kind of smooth it out a little bit. And I need to add a little more of this gold back in because I got that purple too far in there. Okay, so there is kind of that general look there. I don't know what look it is. It'll look better once I get everything on. I am going to go ahead and go with this beautiful empowered shade right there, kind of on the corner of my eye. I'm going to switch brushes here and get kind of a flat shader one. This is my Profusion brush, and I'm going to just dip into that empowered shade with the edge of it, and I'm just going to go right along the edge there. Somehow my battery died. Sorry. Okay, so I was putting that empowered right along the edge of the eye, just a little bit with this brush from Profusion. And then I'm going to take a larger brush and just kind of blend that out a little bit. The faces I make are hilarious. I'm going to take a little bit of this beautiful champagne color in the Violet Voss with my brush that I was just using to blend, and I'm going to put a little bit on the inner corner of both eyes and just kind of blend that up into the purple to make it a little more cohesive. And I think that I need to get this brush back here. And I'm not liking how this looks on the inner corner there. It's a little too disjointed for me. I'm not a big fan. So I'm kind of blending that out a little bit. And then let's put some of that gold back on because I just blended it all out. That's a little better. Once we get the mascara and eyeliner and all that on, it'll be good. I actually am going to go into this palette for my liner. I really have been liking eyeshadow liner versus like a dark line. So I'm going to find my angled brush that I love. And we're going to put a line of this Limitless right here at the base and kind of out just a little bit to make a eyeshadow liner, and then we'll blend it out. And interesting that as I go over the gold with the black, and maybe the base of this is a little more blue, it's actually turning the gold a little more green. Well, that's different. That's what the look is going to stay like. It certainly is not my favoriteest look, but it's all good. I don't have a bronzer to use. Those are pretty much all of the products that I have to try for today out of my Boxycharm base box and premium box for the month of November. Overall, I am loving this blush. We'll see how long it lasts. I do really enjoy both of these palettes as well. I think they work more cohesive on their own versus mixed together, but we were kind of trying both. I do really like that serum underneath. Let me kind of finish everything so that it looks normal, and then I'll jump back on and let you see and show you what time that I actually finish everything, and then I'll do a check-in later today to let you know how all the products lasted. Okay, I'll be back in a second. Okay, it is 9:00, you guys can't see that, 9:09. We'll call the check-in time 9 o'clock. Like I said, I absolutely love this blush. I think it is stunning. I will be interested to try all of them and see how long it lasts. I do really enjoy both of these palettes. I think they blend it out really well. I'm not a big fan of the eye look that I created with it today, but that's my fault, not the eyeshadow thing. I am in love with this for under my eyes. I really hope that it works well through the day and doesn't cause the makeup to break up underneath, because this will be my new eye serum that I use underneath my makeup because it was great. The primer I still am undecided about. It seems nice. We'll have to see how everything works. So I will check in later on today, let you know how all the products lasted, give you my final thoughts and my reviews, and then we'll go from there. All right, you guys, I'll see you in a bit. Hey everybody, I'm back. I know I'm super close for just a few minutes, but I did want to point out a couple of things. So right here, my under eyes look like trash. Most of the coverage has worn away, as well as everything from my eyes have transferred down here. So my mascara has transferred. The mascara that I use is typically not a mascara that transfers, particularly when I set my under eyes. The gold has transferred down here, as well as some of the pink to my under eye. I don't know if you can tell, I'm trying to get real close up. The foundation has also settled into my lines, as well as into my pores right here. So I think overall for me, let me back up first so I'm not so close, and then we'll kind of review my thoughts. Okay, so not quite so close as I was. But overall, I'm not a big fan of the, oh, my brain. I'm not a big fan of the primer. I feel like it's settled where it normally doesn't in all of my lines, in all of my pores and my texture. It has started to break up, and I didn't even tell you guys. That was not very helpful. It is 4:26 right now, so 7.5 hours, almost 8 full hours of wear. And typically this foundation doesn't wear this poorly on me. I will try the primer with a couple of other foundations and kind of update in the description box later on to let you guys know overall what I thought. I definitely do not like the eye primer. My eyes on both sides, if I look up, have creased pretty significantly. And typically my eyes don't do that, even though they are a little bit hooded. I don't have that bad of an issue. So I'm thinking it's the primer, although the eyeshadow did stay on pretty well. But like I said, most of the stuff did transfer to my under eye, and all of the coverage has worn away or gotten darker. So again, not, although I like the serum, probably not under your makeup. It's probably not a good serum for under the makeup, if that makes sense. Maybe something that you do quite a bit earlier in the day, or either that or do in the evening, and I will try that as well. Blush though, overall blush is still there. I have to say, I really, wow, that was super close for a second, sorry. I really enjoyed this blush. This is that Rhubarb and Rose by Seraphine Botanicals, the cream blush. And I can't get it open. That's the only complaint I have about this packaging, is I struggle to get it open every single time. And usually I don't have that hard of a time, but I think all of those colors are beautiful. I think it lasted really well on my skin, particularly when I didn't even set it with another blush. I just set it with a setting powder. The color is still there after 7.5, 8 hours, and it was pretty warm today and pretty humid. So I think this definitely is a great product. The two, upside down, both of them, the two eyeshadow palettes, the Violet Voss as well as the Persona Cosmetics, I do really like. I think that part of what's skewing my perspective is I didn't really like this eye look, as well as I do not like the eye base. So I will try these. I have tried Persona as well as Violet Voss before, and I do like both of their formulas, particularly Persona. So I have no complaints. I think these are great palettes, definitely worth the money. For me, my two products that I say that I'm not big fans of is this by Terry Hydra Primer, as well as the Ace Beauty Eyeshadow Amplifying Base. I want to make sure I got the name of that right. I have other bases that work much better, that the eyeshadow doesn't crease. Even Persona, that I've used before, doesn't crease after a long wear, and I feel like it stays in place better. It doesn't transfer as much under the eye, although that might have been contributed to the eye serum. So kind of take that for what it is. These would be products that I will try again, but will probably be products that are not my favorites, but by far favorite of the box is this. So that's kind of my quick and dirty, my try on and review of the products for the November Base and Premium Boxycharm. What did you guys get in your products? What are you, or in your Boxycharm, what are you loving? Let me know, drop me a comment of what other things you would like to see. Thank you so much for joining me today. I loved having you here with me. Please stay safe, stay happy, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.